You're too young for this baby, Emma. Kevin needs that money more than you do. My mother's voice was ice cold. I was 5 months pregnant, standing in the library of the Walsh estate on Thanksgiving evening, and my own mother had just told me to give up my daughter's inheritance to my gambling addict brother. Mom, this is insane. Grandma Helen left that trust fund to her first granddaughter, my daughter, not Kevin. My father stepped forward, his face hard. Your grandmother didn't understand business. Kevin is trying to save the family company. That money could make the difference between success and bankruptcy. I looked between them, my hand instinctively moving to my belly. This is my daughter's future you're talking about. David and I have plans. David. My mother spat the name like poison. Your husband is in South Korea playing soldier while you're here, pregnant and alone. What kind of provider is that? He's deployed, Mom. He's serving our country. He's not here, my father cut in. Which means we're your family now. And family helps family. I'd come home to Connecticut for Thanksgiving because it felt like the right thing to do. My grandmother had passed away 3 weeks earlier, and this was supposed to be a time of healing. Instead, I was standing in her library, the room where she used to read me stories, listening to my parents plot to steal my daughter's inheritance. I'm not signing anything, I said quietly. Grandma Helen wanted this for her great-granddaughter. I'm honoring her wishes. My mother's face went rigid. We'll see about that. I should have left right then. Looking back, that was the moment everything could have gone differently. But I was naive enough to think that surely my own parents wouldn't actually hurt me. I was their daughter. I was pregnant with their grandchild. I was wrong. The next morning started normally enough. I woke up in my childhood bedroom, the one Mom had redecorated 3 times for Kevin, but never once asked if I wanted to change mine. The pale yellow walls from my teenage years still surrounded me, along with the single shelf of participation trophies, while Kevin's room down the hall housed an entire wall of awards. I was a software engineer at a successful tech startup. I had a master's degree from MIT. I owned a home with my husband in a nice neighborhood outside Boston. But in this house, in my parents' eyes, I would always be the spare child, the one who existed to make Kevin look better. I hadn't understood just how deep that went until Grandma Helen's will was read. She'd been the only one who ever saw me, really saw me. When I got into MIT, my parents had been annoyed that I'd chosen computers over the family business. Grandma Helen had driven 3 hours to attend my graduation. When I married David, a Marine from a working-class family instead of someone from our social circle, my parents had barely attended the wedding. Grandma Helen had walked me down the aisle and told me she was proud of me for choosing love. And when she'd found out I was pregnant with a girl, she'd cried tears of joy. Finally, she'd whispered, holding my hands. Another Helen in the family. 2 weeks later, she'd quietly revised her trust fund, the one that held $2 million money from her own family. Not the Walshes. Money that was hers to do with as she pleased. The trust had one condition. It would go to her first female Walsh grandchild on that child's 18th birthday. Not her children. Not her grandchildren. Her great-grandchild. My daughter. Kevin had been furious when he'd found out. He'd expected that money. He'd already been counting on it to bail out his failing investment firm. My brother, the golden child, the genius entrepreneur, had managed to lose $3 million in bad cryptocurrency investments and had another $2 million in gambling debts. Our parents' solution? Take the money from me. I found the legal documents on the breakfast table that Friday morning, neatly printed, with highlighted sections showing where I needed to sign. A voluntary relinquishment of trustee rights, a transfer of beneficiary status to Kevin Walsh. My mother was waiting in the kitchen, coffee in hand. Your father and I have discussed this extensively, Emma. It's the sensible choice. You and David are young. You have your whole lives to build wealth. Kevin needs this now. Grandma Helen didn't leave it to Kevin. She left it to my daughter. Your daughter will be fine. She'll have whatever her father can provide. The disdain in her voice when she mentioned David made my blood boil. Mom, I'm not doing this. You're being selfish. Kevin's voice came from behind me. My brother stood in the doorway, expensive suit slightly rumpled. He'd been out late at the casino again. I could see it in his bloodshot eyes. This is family money. Family. You married some nobody and moved away. I've stayed here, tried to uphold the Walsh name, and this is how you repay that loyalty? Grandma Helen made her choice, Kevin. Grandma Helen was senile. She was sharper than any of us until the day she died, and you know it. I grabbed the papers and started tearing them up. I'm not signing. And if you try to forge my signature, I'll press charges. The room went silent. My father appeared in the doorway. Emma, think very carefully about what you're doing. You're isolated here. David is thousands of miles away. You're pregnant and vulnerable. We're your family. We can help you. Or we can make things very difficult. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining reality, he said coldly. Now sign the papers. We'll draw up new ones. No. I tried to walk past him, but he moved to block the doorway. My mother set down her coffee cup with a sharp click. Emma, you've always been stubborn. Always had to do things your way. But this is bigger than you. This is about the family legacy. Kevin is the heir. He's the one who'll carry on the Walsh name. Your daughter will be a Chen. She doesn't need Walsh money. She's still Grandma's great-granddaughter. She's still a Walsh. Only by blood, my mother said softly. Not by name, not by legacy. You made your choice when you married that man. The contempt in her voice finally made something click in my brain. This wasn't about money. Not really. This was about me daring to choose my own path. To marry someone they didn't approve of. To be successful without their help. To exist outside their control. And now Grandma Helen had validated that choice by leaving her money to my child instead of Kevin. I'm leaving, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll be out of your house within the hour. You're not going anywhere. My father's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Hard enough to hurt. Not until we settle this. Let go of me. Sign the papers, Emma. Dad, you're hurting me. Let go. He tightened his grip. Kevin stepped closer. My mother stood up, and I realized, with growing horror, that they'd planned this. The timing Thanksgiving weekend, when I'd be isolated here. David deployed overseas where I couldn't reach him easily, due to communication restrictions. The legal papers already drawn up. The unified front. They'd been planning to force me to sign since the will was read. I need to call David, I said, trying to keep panic out of my voice. He deserves to know about these discussions. Your phone, my mother said, holding out her hand. Give it to me. What? No. Emma. Phone, now. You can't be serious. My father twisted my wrist, and I gasped in pain. 5 months pregnant, and my own father was physically hurting me. The phone, Emma. I had no choice. I pulled it from my pocket with my free hand, and my mother snatched it away. Good girl. Now, Kevin has the revised papers in the drawing room. We're going to sit down like civilized people and discuss this properly. They marched me through the house, my father still gripping my wrist, my mother on my other side, Kevin bringing up the rear. Like I was a prisoner, instead of their daughter. The drawing room was on the 2nd floor. I'd have to pass the grand staircase to get there. The same staircase I used to slide down the banister as a kid, until my mother caught me and told me that wasn't how Walsh ladies behaved. We reached the landing. Below us, the foyer stretched out in marble elegance. Grandma Helen's portrait hung on the wall, her gentle eyes seeming to watch us. Mom, please, I tried one more time. Think about what you're doing. I'm pregnant. I'm your daughter. This is your grandchild. And you'll have other children, she said dismissively. Children with the right father. If you come to your senses. This one, well, mistakes can be corrected. Mistakes? I stared at her. You think my daughter is a mistake? I think you've made many mistakes, Emma. Starting with that wedding. Something in her voice made me turn to look at her face. And what I saw there chilled me to my core. She wasn't angry. She was cold. Calculating. Looking at me the same way she'd look at a business problem to be solved. You were always the difficult one, she said softly. Always questioning. Always pushing back. Kevin understands family loyalty. He understands sacrifice. You never did. Mom, give Kevin the inheritance, Emma. Or give us the baby. Those are your options. The words didn't make sense at first. What? You heard me. Sign over the trust fund rights. Or when the baby is born, you sign over custody. Kevin and Sarah can raise her. Sarah can't have children of her own. It would be perfect. The baby stays in the Walsh family. Under the right name. And you can go back to your little life in Boston. You want me to give you my baby? It's not really yours, is it? My mother's voice was eerily calm. It's a Walsh. Helen's great-granddaughter. She belongs with the Walsh family. I'm the Walsh family. I'm your daughter. You were a Walsh. You're a Chen now. You made that choice. The absolute insanity of it hit me. They actually believed this. They actually thought they had the right to my child, my inheritance, my life. You're all insane, I whispered. My mother's face hardened. Last chance, Emma. The papers are in the drawing room. Sign them now. Or what? What are you going to do, Mom? Beat it out of me? The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. My head snapped to the side, my cheek exploding in pain. Don't you dare take that tone with me, my mother hissed. I am still your mother. You will show respect. I touched my burning cheek, tears springing to my eyes, not from the pain, from the sheer betrayal of it. You just hit me. You hit your pregnant daughter. I disciplined my disrespectful child. She grabbed my arm. Now move. We're going to. I jerked away from her. Pure instinct. I didn't think about where I was standing. Didn't think about the grand staircase 2 feet behind me. I felt my mother's hands on my shoulders. Felt the push. Not hard enough to seem intentional to anyone watching. Just enough. My heel caught on the top step. I had one moment of perfect clarity seeing Grandma Helen's portrait below. The marble foyer that would break me if I fell before I was tumbling backward. I tucked my chin. Wrapped my arms around my belly. Tried to roll instead of bouncing. The stairs were hardwood with a cruel edge, and each one felt like a blow as I fell. 10 steps. I counted every one. I landed on the foyer floor, pain exploding through my left wrist and ribs. For a moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only lie there, arms still wrapped protectively around my stomach, praying my daughter was okay. Oh my God, Kevin's voice from above. Emma, are you okay? I tried to answer, couldn't. The pain in my ribs was excruciating. Call Dr. Morrison, my father's voice, calm and controlled. Tell him Emma had a fall. Tell him to come to the house. Not call an ambulance. Not call 911. Call their private doctor. The one who'd been covering up Kevin's prescription drug abuse for years. The one on their payroll. I tried to move. An agony shot through my wrist. Broken. Definitely broken. Don't move, sweetheart, my mother's voice. Suddenly syrupy sweet. You've had a terrible accident. Just stay still. Accident. She was already spinning the narrative. I managed to turn my head, looking up at the landing. All three of them stood there, looking down at me. Kevin looked genuinely shocked. My father looked annoyed. My mother looked satisfied. The baby. I managed to gasp out. Hospital. Need. Hospital. Dr. Morrison will check you over, my father said. I'm sure everything is fine. No. Hospital. Now. Emma, you're being dramatic. You just took a little tumble. Women have babies in much worse conditions. You'll be fine. I tried to sit up and nearly screamed from the pain. Something was definitely broken in my ribs, but I could feel the baby moving. Still moving. Still alive. Thank God. Thank God. Doctor. Morrison arrived 20 minutes later. 20 minutes I spent lying on that cold marble floor, my family standing over me, not calling for help, not comforting me, just waiting. The doctor was professionally sympathetic as he checked me over. Broken wrist, cracked ribs, extensive bruising, but the baby's heartbeat was strong. She really should go to Greenwich Hospital for a full scan, Dr. Morrison said. And I could have kissed him. To be safe. The fall was significant. Is that necessary? My mother asked. You said the baby is fine. I said the heartbeat is strong, but Mrs. Chen is 5 months pregnant and just fell down a flight of stairs. I can't do a complete ultrasound here. If there's internal bleeding or placental issues, we need proper imaging. Of course, my father said smoothly. We'll take her right now. Emma, can you stand? With Dr. Morrison's help, I got to my feet. Every movement was agony, but I forced myself up. I had to get out of this house. Had to get to a real hospital. Had to protect my daughter. They drove me to Greenwich Hospital in tense silence. My mother sat in the back seat next to me, her hand on my knee like a concerned parent. Her touch made my skin crawl. At the hospital, they whisked me away for ultrasounds and x-rays. The techs were kind, professional. They believed the story my parents told that I'd tripped on the stairs. Such a terrible accident. So lucky the baby seemed okay. I didn't correct them. Not yet. Not with my parents in the waiting room. But I was planning. They kept me overnight for observation. My parents stayed in the private waiting room, playing the concerned family. Kevin had disappeared, probably back to the casino. At 2 a.m., when the night nurse came to check my vitals, I asked her a question. Do you have a patient advocate? Someone who can help me with family concerns? She looked at me carefully. Are you safe at home, Mrs. Chen? Those 4 words. That was all it took for the dam to break. I told her everything. The trust fund, the pressure to sign, the slap, the push down the stairs, my mother's threats about taking the baby. She listened without judgment, took notes, and then quietly said, I'm going to call our social services team, and I think we should get the police involved. My parents are in the waiting room. I know. We'll handle this discreetly. But Mrs. Chen, what you're describing is assault, possibly attempted. Well, I don't want to speculate. But you and your baby are in danger. 2 hours later, a detective arrived. Her name was Sarah Rodriguez, and she had a kind face but sharp eyes. She listened to my story, asked detailed questions, and then said something that made my heart stop. Mrs. Chen, I need you to understand something. What your mother did, pushing a pregnant woman down the stairs, that's not just assault. Depending on Connecticut law and the prosecutor's interpretation, that could be attempted murder. Of you, of your unborn child, or both. Murder? I whispered. You were 5 months pregnant. Your mother knew that. She pushed you down a marble staircase. If you'd lost the baby, if you'd died from your injuries. Detective Rodriguez leaned forward. I need to know. Do you want to press charges? Did I? These were my parents, my family, the people who raised me, the people who'd just tried to kill me and my daughter for $2 million. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. Good. Now, I'm going to need you to do something difficult. Your parents don't know you've talked to us yet. We need evidence. Do you have any texts, emails, anything documenting their threats? They took my phone. Of course they did. She thought for a moment. Okay, we're going to release you this afternoon. You're going to go back to their house. I know that's scary, but we need you to stay calm. Try to get your phone back if possible, and record any conversations. Connecticut is a one-party consent state, so if you're part of the conversation, you can legally record it. Can you do that? I thought about my daughter, still safe inside me despite everything. Thought about Grandma Helen's portrait, her gentle eyes watching over me. Yes, I can do that. They discharged me at 3 p.m. with a cast on my wrist and strict instructions to rest. My parents picked me up with appropriate expressions of relief and concern. Thank goodness you're all right, my mother said, helping me into the car with a gentleness that would have fooled anyone watching. We were so worried. Where's my phone? I asked as soon as we were on the road. At home, dear. Safe and sound. I'd like it back, please. David has been trying to reach me. Of course. As soon as we get home. But when we arrived at the Walsh estate, my phone was nowhere to be found. I must have misplaced it, my mother said with convincing confusion. I'll keep looking. They installed me in my childhood bedroom with orders to rest. My father brought up soup. My mother fluffed my pillows. Kevin stopped by to apologize for not being more careful on the stairs even though he'd been behind me. Even though we both knew he hadn't pushed me. They were building their narrative. Poor Emma, clumsy and pregnant, had tripped on the stairs. It was all a terrible accident. But I'd been a software engineer for 7 years. I knew technology. And I knew this house. Grandma Helen had always loved gadgets. When I was in high school, she'd installed a state-of-the-art security system, complete with cameras and audio recording. My parents had thought it was paranoid. I'd helped her set it up. The library where they'd first threatened me had 2 hidden cameras. The landing at the top of the stairs had one pointing down, and the drawing room where they wanted me to sign papers had audio recording. All synced to Grandma Helen's private cloud account. The password was her great-grandmother's maiden name, Morrison. The same password she'd used for everything. The same password she'd whispered to me when I'd helped her set up her iPad 2 years ago. That night, after my parents had gone to bed, I crept downstairs to Grandma's old office. My ribs screamed with every step, but I pushed through the pain. I booted up her computer. They hadn't changed anything. Probably hadn't even come in here since she'd died. I logged into her cloud account. Found the security footage folder. And there it was. Everything. My mother saying, "Give us the baby." My father grabbing my wrist. My mother's hands on my shoulders at the top of the stairs. The push. Subtle, but undeniable on camera. And the audio from the library conversation, where they'd discussed forcing me to sign or taking my child after birth. I downloaded everything onto 3 separate USB drives. Uploaded it to my own secure cloud account. Sent copies to my personal email with a time-delayed send if I didn't log in to cancel it within 48 hours. The files would automatically forward to Detective Rodriguez's email address. Then I went back upstairs, climbed into bed, and for the first time in 2 days, I felt like I could breathe. I had evidence. I had a plan. I just had to survive the next 24 hours. The next morning, my mother brought breakfast to my room. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" "Sore. I'd like to go home to Boston." "Oh, I don't think that's wise. You've just had a serious fall. You need rest and care. Family care. I want to go home." Her expression hardened slightly. "Emma, don't be difficult. Kevin and Sarah are coming over this afternoon. We're going to discuss the estate matters. It's time to settle things properly. I'm not signing anything. We'll see." She left, and I heard the unmistakable sound of a lock clicking. They'd locked me in my childhood bedroom. I tried the window. 2nd floor, but there was a trellis. In my condition, climbing down would be dangerous, but so was staying. I was weighing my options when I heard raised voices downstairs. Male voices. Not my father or Kevin. "Don't care if this is inconvenient, Mr. Walsh. We have a warrant." My heart leaped. Detective Rodriguez. She'd come. I heard my mother's voice, shrill with indignation. "This is outrageous. Our daughter had an accident, and you're treating us like criminals." "Ma'am, we have video evidence that suggests otherwise. We're executing a search warrant for electronic devices and any documentation related to Helen Walsh's estate." I started banging on my bedroom door. "I'm up here. They locked me in." Heavy footsteps on the stairs. "Mrs. Chen?" "Here, 2nd door on the left." A uniformed officer picked the lock, and I nearly collapsed with relief. Detective Rodriguez stood behind him, her expression grim. "Are you all right?" "They locked me in. We're going to force me to sign papers this afternoon." "We know. Your grandmother's lawyer contacted us this morning." "What?" "Mr. Henderson. He's been Grandma Helen's attorney for 30 years. She told him everything before she died, her concerns about your parents, their financial situation, how they'd treated you. She asked him to watch over the trust fund and to contact authorities if your parents tried anything." I stared at her. Grandma knew? She was a smart woman. She'd been documenting their behavior for months. Financial records showing Kevin's gambling debts, recordings of conversations where they discussed ways to handle the Emma situation. She built an entire case file. "Mr. Henderson has been sitting on it. waiting to see if they'd actually make a move. And the fall was the final piece. You gave us your statement. We have the hospital records, and now we have Helen's files. Plus, whatever you found in her security system, yes, we know about that. Mr. Henderson told us. I started crying, not from fear or pain, but from overwhelming relief. Grandma had been protecting me even after death. Downstairs, I could hear my mother's voice rising. This is a witch hunt. Our daughter is confused. She's hormonal. Margaret Walsh. You're under arrest for assault, attempted coercion, and unlawful imprisonment. Detective Rodriguez's partner was reading her rights. Thomas Walsh, you're under arrest as an accessory to assault and coercion. I heard my father's voice, still controlled. This is absurd. We'll have the best lawyers in the state. I'm sure you will. You're going to need them. They let me stay at the house long enough to pack my things. Mr. Henderson arrived, a distinguished man in his 70s with gentle eyes that reminded me of Grandma. Your grandmother loved you very much, Emma. She wanted to make sure you and your daughter would be safe. She set up the trust fund, not just to provide for your child, but to protect you both from your parents' influence. She knew they'd do this? She suspected. Your mother made some concerning comments after you announced your pregnancy. Helen started recording conversations, gathering evidence. She wanted to make sure that if they ever tried to hurt you, there would be consequences. Why didn't she warn me? She didn't want to create a rift if it wasn't necessary. She hoped, perhaps naively, that maternal instinct might overcome greed, but she prepared for the worst. He handed me a folder. These are copies of everything she compiled. You'll need them for the trial. Trial? Your parents are going to fight this. They have money, connections, but we have evidence, and we have the truth. The trial took 8 months. 8 months of depositions, legal maneuvering, and my parents' lawyers trying to paint me as a vindictive daughter making false accusations. But the evidence was overwhelming. The security footage showed the push. The audio recordings proved premeditation. Dr. Morrison, to his credit, testified honestly about the extent of my injuries. The hospital staff confirmed my statement. Mr. Henderson produced Grandma Helen's files, which showed months of planning to coerce me. And then Kevin broke. My brother, the golden child, couldn't handle the pressure. On the stand, after hours of cross-examination, he cracked. I told them to do whatever it took to get the money. He sobbed. I was desperate. I owed people. Dangerous people. But I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. I didn't mean for Mom to push her. I just wanted the money. My mother's face went white. Kevin, stop talking. I can't do this anymore. He turned to the jury. It was Mom's idea about the baby, about taking custody after Emma gave birth. She said we could force Emma to sign over rights because David was deployed, because Emma would be isolated with a newborn. Dad went along with it because he always goes along with whatever Mom wants. But the push down the stairs, that was all Mom. She said if Emma lost the baby, the trust fund would go to the next female Walsh great-grandchild. She said they could try again, have Kevin and Sarah use a surrogate, make sure it was a girl. She had it all planned out. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. My mother sat frozen, her perfect composure finally shattered. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. My mother got 15 years for attempted murder and coercion. My father got 8 as an accessory. Kevin, for cooperating, got 5 years probation and a restraining order. 4 months after the trial ended, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. David had been granted emergency leave and was there for the delivery, holding my hand, crying tears of joy as our daughter entered the world. We named her Grace Helen Chen, Grace for the fresh start she represented, Helen for the grandmother who'd protected us both. The trust fund was secured in Grace's name, managed by Mr. Henderson until her 18th birthday. We didn't need the money. David had been promoted. My startup had gone public. We were doing well. Grandma Helen's final gift. Her way of saying, you deserved better, and I'm making sure your daughter has it. I'm writing this now in the nursery of our home in Boston. Grace is 6 months old, sleeping peacefully in her crib. David is downstairs making dinner. We're having Thai food. Grace's favorite spiced baby food has a slight curry flavor, and she loves it. I think Grandma Helen would have loved that detail. She always appreciated irony. Sometimes people ask if I regret pressing charges, if I ever miss my family. The answer is complicated. I miss the family I thought I had, the parents I wanted to believe loved me, but I don't miss the reality of who they actually were. I learned something important through all of this. Family isn't just blood. It's the people who protect you, who see you, who choose you. Grandma Helen was family. Mr. Henderson became family. David's parents, who flew in from California to help with the baby and never once asked about the trust fund. Their family. My parents? They were DNA. Nothing more. Grace will grow up knowing her great-grandmother's story. She'll know that Helen Walsh was a woman who saw injustice and fought it, even from beyond the grave. She'll know that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're family. And she'll know that she was wanted, loved, protected. My mother tried to destroy me for money. Instead, she gave me the greatest gift: clarity. I know exactly who I am now. I know exactly what I'm willing to fight for. Peace was the most expensive thing I've ever owned. It cost me my parents, my brother, the family name I was born with. But as I sit here watching my daughter sleep, listening to my husband singing off-key in the kitchen, surrounded by the life we've built together, it was worth every single cent. Grandma Helen knew what she was doing. The trust fund wasn't just about money. It was about freedom, about giving Grace and me the choice to live authentically, without the weight of family obligation crushing us. In her final letter to me, which Mr. Henderson gave me after the trial, she wrote, "Emma, my darling girl, if you're reading this, then I was right to worry. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you while I was alive, but I've done everything I can to protect you now. Remember, you are not responsible for their greed. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Live your life, love your daughter, and know that I was always, always proud of you." I keep that letter in Grace's baby book. One day, when she's old enough, I'll show it to her. I'll tell her about the great-grandmother who loved her before she was born, who fought for her, who gave her more than money, who gave her a legacy of strength. For now, though, I'm just enjoying the peace, the quiet nursery, the sound of my daughter breathing, the knowledge that we're safe. My parents took so much from me, but they couldn't take this. They couldn't take my daughter. They couldn't take my future. They couldn't take the love that Grandma Helen planted in my heart, the knowledge that I deserved better. And that, in the end, is why I won. Not because of the trial, not because of the money, but because I chose myself and my daughter over their version of family loyalty. Grandma Helen taught me that, and I'll teach it to Grace. Some inheritances aren't measured in dollars. They're measured in the courage to say no, the strength to walk away, the wisdom to know your worth. That's the real legacy. That's what Grandma Helen left me, and it's worth more than all the trust funds in the world.